Hi there. Today we are going to do the fourth lesson of exponents. This is dividing them. So on the top here, it has a summary of what we're doing. But when we divide powers with the same base, we are subtracting the exponents. So before, when we multiplied these, we added exponents. So now we're dividing and subtracting. Okay, so right here, let's just start with the words here. So when dividing, subtract the top exponent minus the bottom. Let's cross out that. Shouldn't be there. Okay, so if the exponent is negative, then move the power to either the top or bottom so the exponent becomes positive. We've been doing this all week. Okay, so let's start with number 1 here. So we are dividing them. The bases are the same. We have x and x, so that's good. We can do, simplify rules with this. So I need to subtract my exponents. So I have 5 minus 3, and that's 2. So I have x to the second, and then that's a positive exponent, so I'm done. I don't need to do anything else. Okay, number 2, we have an m to the third and m to the 8th. This 3 is just by itself out front, so let's just write it there so we don't forget about it. Okay, so I need to do top number, so top minus bottom. 3 minus 8 is negative 5. So I write m to the negative 5th. Okay, so now I need to see if it stays or goes. The 3 stays, but this guy here needs to go. So I have 3 up top, and then m to the positive 5 down below. So you gotta watch out for those negative exponents and make sure you're simplifying fully at the end here. All right, number 3 is really similar. This 5 is fine. I'm just focusing on these t exponents. So I have 7 minus 10. That's negative 3. So I have the 5 stays, and then I have t to the negative third. Okay, that's not okay. I need to move this downstairs. So I have 5 over t cubed, or t to the third. Okay, let's do a couple down here then. Now we have 2 or more letters. So let's do number 5. The 6, that's just fine. So we just keep it up top. Now I'm focusing on my x's. Okay, so I have top minus bottom. So I have 9 minus 7. So that's x to the second. And then my y's, I have, the opposite. I have 7 minus 9. Remember, you always have to do top minus bottom. So that's y to the negative second. Okay, I can't have this guy. This needs to be moved downstairs. So 6x squared stays up top. And then y squared now is a positive 2. And then I'm done. Okay, let's do number 6 then. It's the same idea, but there's 3 letters. So this negative 2 is just hanging by itself. So that's up top. That stays. Let's look at my x's. So I do top minus bottom. So 4 minus 4 is 0. So x to the 0. My y's, I have 1 minus 5. That's negative 4. So I have y to the negative 4th. And then z, I have an invisible 1 here if you want to write that. So I have 8 minus 1, which is 7. So z to the 7th. Okay, so now we need to simplify this a little bit. X to the 0 here, that's just 1. So I'm just going to reduce that right now, and we don't even need to write it. So I have negative 2. This needs to go downstairs. So y to the 4th. And then z to the 7th stays, because it was okay where it was at. So make sure you're organized with your work, you're writing neatly, so you can easily see, what you're moving around and keep track of it. Okay, let's turn the page over to the back side. We have one more part to this rule. So yesterday we raised a power to a power. That just means that there was parentheses, and then there's basically 2 exponents. we multiply these exponents. So that's what we're going to do first. So we're basically combining yesterday, and then we'll apply today's property in a minute. Okay, so number 7 here. We have z cubed to the third. So I do 3 times 3, which is 9. So I have z to the 9th, and then I have 3 to the third on the bottom. Okay, so we look and see, are there any negative exponents? No. So actually we're done. We're okay with this. If you wanted to write 3 to the third as a whole number, if the number's not too large, that's okay. But if it gets too big, sometimes we like to just leave it as an exponent. So we have a little bit flexibility there, and you might see both ways in multiple choice problems. So just be prepared for that. Okay, so we have x to the 8th here. So I'm multiplying this invisible 1. 1 times 8 is 8. I have invisible 1 here. 1 times 8 is 8. Both of those are positive numbers, so that's easy. We're done. Okay, now this is where it gets a little more interesting. Number 9, we have this cubed power, and we have to cube everything. So the first thing we're doing is this 2. So 2 to the third. Then I have my z squared. So I'm doing 2 times 3. So I have z to the 6th. Okay, and then over, we have 5 to the third. All right, I can't simplify these numbers because they're not the same base. Remember, the base is the big number. So we can actually just leave our answer like that. Or if you wanted to write it out as 2 cubed is 8z to the 6th. And then 5 cubed is 125. Okay, just so you can see that those are the exact same thing. They can be written either way. They both have positive exponents, so they're both allowed. Okay, let's do 11 here. So we have n to the 8th to the 4th. So I'm doing 8 times 4. So I have n to the 32nd. And then I have n to the 0. Let's use a different color here. To the 4th. So 0 times 4 is 0. Okay, so anything to the 0th power here is 1. So I'm left with n to the 32nd over 1. So I can just write it like that. Great. Okay, let's do these bottom 3 then. These are really good practice for ones you might see on tests and quizzes. So we're combining all these rules together that we've learned. So the first one here, there's parentheses, but just think, okay, there's a multiplication sign in the middle. So I'm going to do my big number times big number. So that's negative 12. Then I'm going to focus on my x's. Okay, so I now, remember, you multiply big numbers, add the little numbers. So I need to do negative 2 plus 5. So that's what, 3? So x to the third. And then my y's, I need to add those exponents. So 4 plus negative 2 is 2. None of these exponents are negative, so we're done. We're good. We don't have to simplify anymore. All right, number 14. This squared needs to go to all 3 of these bases. So I have 7 to the first. Remember, there's an invisible 1 there. So I'm going to multiply. 1 times 2 is 2. So 7 to the second power. And then my x here, I have 4 times 2 is 8. My y, I have 3 times 2 is 6. So you could leave it like that, or you could write 49 x to the 8th, y to the 6th. Okay, then last one, 15 here. We have a fraction bar here. So these two numbers, I'm just going to leave them where they are for now. Let's focus on the exponents first. So I need to subtract, since x's are the same base, 5 minus 2. So that gives me x to the third. And then here I need to subtract 4 minus 5. That's negative 1. Okay, so let's move the negative base to the basement. So I have negative 14x cubed over 10y to the first. Not going to write that one. Okay, everything looks good except we can simplify or reduce this fraction. So on your calculator, you can type in negative 14 over 10 and reduce that, or you can just do it in your head. If I divide both of them by 2, I would get negative 7, and then 10 divided by 2 is 5. This is my simplified answer. Okay, that's a little bit tricky, so don't forget to check those fractions as well to see if you need to do any more reducing. Okay, we did it. Those are the 4 days of exponent properties, so we're putting them all together. So make sure you're doing your classwork to practice those skills.